This is John Davis, sports editor of the Oxford Eagle. What advantages does the newspaper have when they cover Ole Miss sports?
I think newspapers now, with the ability to do video through iPhone or just flip cam, of course we have audio capabilities with our digital recorders. They can be multi-purpose people. I mean, the writing is obviously unique in the sense that some people don't know how to write, and then at the same time we can now do TV and audio on top of it. So I think that's one of the unique things now that newspaper people are doing. They're kind of being multifaceted, kind of like a Swiss Army knife of media.
Are there any disadvantages with a newspaper covering them?
I think for us specifically here at the Eagle, we're an afternoon paper. It's unique in the sense we can have larger amount of space. We try to write a little bit different story, more of a feature type story. The disadvantage, though, is specifically speaking about the Eagle, is that we're out past other people, Daily Journal, Clarion Ledger, that are in the morning. Disadvantage, I don't think so as much anymore now that the website's upgraded. Most anybody's got these upgraded websites that can do blogs 24/7. So I think the newspaper industry as a whole has caught up thanks to new media as much as anything.
How would you describe the Ole Miss fan base and their mentality and expectations?
Football wise, I think that they're understanding a little bit better of where they are and what Coach Freeze has done. There's been different times, and I've been here since the late '90s, and covered after the very first Cotton Bowl with Eli. There was an expectation that this program was ready to stay at the top of the SEC, be there every year, kind of like Alabama's done, and that was unrealistic. So there's been times where they've been unrealistic. There's been times where it's been, I guess, a little bit understanding. I think the last 8 years have changed the way that this fan base has thought, and I think right now everybody's in a good place and happy with the way that the program has improved.
How does y'all's coverage and content, how's it affected as football ends and basketball begins to pick up a little bit?
Well, it's tough. This is one of the toughest months for us because we also do a lot of high school sports. November and February are our biggest months. A lot of the what I call bleed over sports, whether it be fall going into the winter or winter going into the spring. But to kind of answer your question, I mean, you just kind of do it. You just buck up and do it and do the best you can as far as coverage and use everything works out.
How is social media affecting newspapers, and how do you keep a fine line with not giving out too much info so you can have in your paper to the subscribers and stuff?
We don't really give out a ton of information. Twitter's only 140 characters. I'm not as big on tweeting everything that I do. I usually do scores. I usually do important stories. There's some guys that do tweeting all the time. I think that gets carried away. I think it's good to have it, and we've attached it to the website that we have. But it just depends. I think it's a personal preference. Social media is as much as you want to do it or as little as you want to do it. I think you've got to do some of it, though. I'm more of in the middle. I'm not as big on the Facebook as opposed to Twitter, and I'm sure some other people are vice versa. So I think it's important. I think it's great, but I think you can get carried away with it. I think there are some people out there that do.
How do you see the future of newspapers going forward, and especially here in the Oxford area, covering the Ole Miss sports and high school athletics?
Well, fortunately, we are a little bit different paper where we're not owned by a corporation. We're owned by two families, so that's a help. I think us, compared to other papers, will survive longer. I think long term, and I say long term is, I'm going to say 20 years, 30 years. I don't think it's anytime soon. Probably papers will not even be delivered, or it's probably one of those things where everybody reads it online. May even get a little digital copy for all I know. I mean, the technology is going to help drive us. I'm sure 40 years ago they didn't even think we'd be talking over iPhones and doing Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what the future holds from that capacity, but I do think it's more in that vein as opposed to continuing to print and deliver the paper long term.